Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. Yes, we are doing Just Dandy, and we're so happy to be here. As I mentioned in my last live, I think it was, that I was going to be talking about some things that were going on in the bedroom. In the bedroom. That saying is from something that I heard in the movie. It was just weird when I hear that. But anyway, I'm going to talk to you today about what was revealed about Harry and Meghan and their married life, and some of the things that we've been seeing with Harry and Meghan, most recently in New York City. And also the information that I feel is more relevant to what is happening every time we see Harry and Meghan out. We've got photos of them out now. They went to this charity event, and the body language is very telling. And it's just really reconfirming some things. And I think Harry is trying to find his next move. He's calculating and planning and trying to figure out, well, how is this going to work? How am I going to navigate this impending disaster that's coming? He's thinking, he's trying to figure it all out. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about all of this, a little bit something about all of this. All right, so let's get into it. Oh, yes, there's a lot going on, isn't there, Otis? There's a lot going on in the news today. Yeah. I want to show you what Meghan Markle said when she was at the most powerful women event where she was interviewed. She was asked the question about, okay, go back to when you first left royal life. Can you go back and just tell me like what was going on? And Meghan essentially gave this answer. I want to hit on this briefly before I go into the other things that I'm talking about. So let's just listen to that real quick.
What you could do for women. Well, I think 5 years ago was a very different situation for all of us. And, Archie was so little, and I had just gotten pregnant with Lily around that same time. So we were nesting.
So as you can see, Meghan is talking about, she got pregnant with Lily right when they got back to the States and they were living their lives. She was, healing, from all the things within the royal family. And that is just such an insult to the royal family. It is such an insult to everything that was done for you. And I won't go into that diatribe right now, but it just never ceases to amaze me how Meghan just complains about her royal life when that is the best thing that has ever happened to her. And that's why she does all these things around showing up in public, and people show up to take her photo because she was in the royal family. But she continues to make these snide little remarks about her life in the royal family. I mean, that she should be so grateful for what happened to her. I want to just bring out the contradiction really quickly because it goes into the story around this couple and their married life. When Meghan talked about how she had just gotten pregnant with Lily around the time that they were healing and looking for community and, back in America, trying to figure it all out. And that is so not true. It's so not true that she got pregnant around that time. We know that COVID really went full throttle in March of 2020. This was the same month that Harry and Meghan left Canada to go to California because they were going to be closing up the borders, and they just left with the quickness to go back to California. And Archie was under a year old around this time because he was born in May of 2019. He was not quite a year old. And Meghan's saying that she had just gotten pregnant. And the suspicion around Meghan saying this, to me, brings into a lot of questions, things that I think we can go a lot deeper on. But I want to just point out to you so you can really understand how she doesn't even know or is not even able to get it right when she got pregnant. Because Lily was not born until June of 2021. She would have gotten pregnant later in the year of 2020, around September. Okay? There's no way when they left in March of 2020 that she was pregnant. She did not get pregnant until 6 months later. So when you're thinking about getting pregnant and having a little child, don't you know when you get pregnant? Because usually if the child is conceived around September, which it would have had to have been around September of 2020, you probably would have found out sometime in October, November that you were even pregnant. But here she's saying that she was pregnant.
What you could do for women. Well, I think 5 years ago was a very different situation for all of us. And, Archie was so little, and I had just gotten pregnant with Lily around that same time, so we were nesting.
Pregnant around the time of going back to the States, or going to the States and living their life in California around March of 2020, when you didn't really know that you were pregnant until like half a year later. Why would you say that? Why would you say that you had just gotten pregnant with Lily around that time when clearly you weren't? To me, it says the timeline is off. And usually when you are a pregnant woman, these are very pivotal times in your life because you're thinking, I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant. And what's happening in that time in your life is very memorable because you have on your mind of being pregnant. But how could Meghan have said that she was pregnant around this time when she wasn't? That to me stood out very clearly.
So you tell me to tell you something that maybe a dozen people actually know that's going to come out very soon. Okay. Meghan Markle, the reason why you watch her interviews and she just seems off, she's owned by a pharmaceutical company. The 2 children that she had, they're not hers. She didn't have them with Harry. And how her and Harry met is that she's a product.
Now, some of you have mentioned to me the fact that Meghan did have a miscarriage in July of 2020. And I did the calculation around the potential birth of a child. Should she have given birth to the child that she lost, she still would not have been able to very likely get pregnant around the time of July of 2020. That means that she got pregnant a little less than 2 months after the miscarriage. And that is highly unlikely considering Meghan's age and time for her body to heal from a miscarriage. Doesn't align with the likelihood of her getting pregnant around that time. Now, some of you have asked me who is the lady that is mentioning these things about Meghan. Well, she's a holistic doctor. Meghan allegedly used a holistic doctor for the birth of her children. Now, you can be assured that people in the community of doctors are in network groups of people, and things get around. Things are talked about in the circles of these cliques, and that's why you hear about certain things in intimate circles of friends, because they know they could never mention things that are around someone's medical information, but you can give your opinion based on things that you may have heard. And I believe that's what happened here. But I find it interesting that someone with her background and who is a holistic doctor mentions the things around Meghan, things that we've all been suspecting.
But that requires a deeper dive much later about the inconsistencies of that. But it does point to things around this couple's relationship and how we know that there are problems, because the whole fact that this story has even come out speaks to a very big problem in this relationship. And I also want to mention how Neil Sean is reporting that the couple, or for Harry for that matter, is starting to really wake up to it's not good. We all remember when they were in New York getting this Humanitarian of the Year award and how horribly disgusted Harry seemed. He seemed disgusted. It could have been off of the heels, which I believe, of Meghan doing her Diana death drive little stint where Meghan just came back from Paris, and how he just looked at Meghan with disdain and disgust, and how he is now talking about not wanting to show up for these awards unless it's something that's legit that has to do with his charities. So slowly Harry is starting to wake up to his real life circumstances with Meghan, how everything is starting to look contrived, made up, planned to make us appear as if we are so successful, when the reality is that they're not. The story then really becomes, how does a story like this get out in the public? How does a story get out in the public that you are having problems in the bedroom? And to me, I think it points to, once again, the shenanigans of Meghan. Because she's able to control these things. But for her, there's always this underlying motive to do things, to put out these stories, to become the story, and to really show her upper hand. Because we know Meghan is a conniver. I mean, because she's always plotting and planning and, figuring it out, and what should I do here, and if I do this, and, this outcome. And it's constant with Meghan. But just to point out some of the things of this story that came out about Harry's hair loss and his treatment. And we know Harry is having some problems with some hair loss. We can see it. It's obvious. The one video that I put out on that Meghan put out on her social media looked like Harry had like a wig on his head. This picture right here. So I don't even know how that even happened. But, this is something that is causing Harry great vanity. He's having some vanity issues right now. He's stressed about it in his life, with Meghan having to show support and love for Meghan when he doesn't really feel it. Because we can see the conflict between what he's showing us physically and what he is also showing it with his feelings, and how he looks completely deflated. Well, Harry's battle against baldness has taken a very intimate turn, is what this article is saying. And the use of these medications are indifferent to him, and it risks impotence, because they're saying the marriage to Meghan has been virtually sexless for years. How does the information about your sex life become a story? Who knows this information? And if you know this information, I mean, I don't know how you would, but if you do, why are you saying anything about it? Because you would think only trusted friends would know anything about it, and you would hope they wouldn't say anything. But I find it so interesting that this story is even out there. So Radar Online is talking about this, and how Harry is relying on a cocktail of finasteride and minoxidil to slow his hair loss. And these are some of the side effects, a price he is, they say, in quotes, not worried about paying. Because it's like, I don't care. I'll go through the side effects as the other option. I don't need it. I don't need it. That's what that says to me. The story goes on to say that, he's been suffering from hair loss for a while now, over at least more than a decade, which, I mean, when you talk about having children and being able to have children so timely and back to back like Harry and Meghan appear to have had, you gotta get a little bit suspicious around it. It's like, really? Well, that's suspect, considering the options around Meghan being an older woman and Harry and his problem, and, the timelines and then Meghan's secrecy around the children. It brings into question a lot of things about this couple. they're saying that Harry's had to turn to pharmaceutical treatments to hold on to what remains of his hair. These prescription meds that he is being prescribed risk also headaches, mood changes, and sexual dysfunction. So they're saying that Harry is very self-conscious about his hair. He's been using a mix of treatments for a while now, and he knows that there's potential side effects. But the truth is, it just doesn't really matter to him anymore, the side effects. Friends say that there's been little intimacy between Harry and Meghan for a long time, since the birth of their second child. They live more like colleagues than co-parents. And I find it interesting that Harry would even make the comment that he did in his book Spare about his brother losing his hair much faster, considering Harry is losing his hair too. Like, just the jibes, the things that they've done to their families. You know, it just seems like you have your own problems to deal with. Why are you always trying to call out your family? But just to point out how in real time we are seeing once again, Harry is just going through the motions so that he can appear like he is getting along, things are fine, but he can't really hide it that very well. He can't hide how he is really feeling about Meghan. We can see he is feeling at a loss with not only his hair, but his connection to Meghan in the relationship. Because the fact that we see this story, we know that this is a couple that is proving every day with everything that they do out in the public, even with this charity event, their lives are not really aligned in purpose still. Meghan's still trying to vie for popularity, her brand, and Harry is just trying to go through the motions to show that he's appearing to be okay with his circumstances when really he can't hide it. That's what we see happening. But very telling that this story is out here, and whether it's by Meghan or Harry, the fact is, I doubt it's by Harry, but the fact that more than likely Meghan got this story out there shows you how nasty and dirty the divorce will be. And that just might be Harry trying to hang on so that he can survive the inevitable of a divorce with Meghan, because he understands how bad it will get. Once again, my friends, we shall see. But Harry, yeah, not looking too good with you and your reputation. Now that we see the hair loss, we're also seeing some other things too that I don't think you might be too happy about. It's a little embarrassing. But yeah, Harry, it's going to be a big wake-up call for you to try to overcome the vile viciousness that your wife is more than likely planning and doing to you right now. We shall see. All right, I will see you all in my next video. Cue Otis. Cheerio.